Hello, Laura Donnelly here, and coming to you from Dancing with Ease, Body Brain Balance with the Healing Path today. And I'm going to have my good friend, Molly McCallum, come on and she'll share with us about meditation and her journey to discovering meditation as a healing path for herself. And the series of conversations that am doing on the healing path involve friends, colleagues, people I've met online, and people I've met in person who are working in all areas of the healing field. And the common theme among all of us with various modalities is the idea that all healing starts with self healing. And by self healing, I mean the internal intention of the person, me, you, whoever it is, that healing is possible and that we will do the change necessary to allow the healing to happen. So I'll bring Molly on. She'll tell you a little bit about herself, and then we'll just talk about meditation and see where it goes. Hey, Molly.
Hi, Laura.
So great to see you.
Nice to see you, and thank you very much for having me on. I love all your discussions you've been having about the different modalities and how they all kind of work together. There's no, at least I haven't found one right answer. I found some that are more true for me than others, but thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad you can share a little bit about your journey, how you discovered meditation was a modality that worked for you, and then how it's changed your life.
Ah. Well, I'm someone that for like over 20 years had worked with other people, helping them figure out issues they were going through and trauma and giving them tools to kind of move forward. And I had talked to them and worked with them through trauma. And while that was going on, I went through some of my own trauma and kind of realized that there were some other ways to look at things as well. Um, I had gone through a divorce. I'd gone through some medical issues where I actually had to be airlifted from the town I live in to a big city. Recently, my husband had a stroke, and all of those things kind of go along with the COVID, what everybody's going through now, right now, like the rug is being pulled out from under your feet, and you don't know which way is up and what's happening. And I had that happen to me in a big way in 2012 when my then 34-year-old son died.
Hmm.
Um, it's just not something you expect to have your child die before you. And everybody wants to try to help you go through it, or a lot of people want to help you go through it. And one thing that actually helped is my husband and I had been a part of search and rescue in our county. And we were at that time the busiest county in the state of Oregon where I live um, for searches. And during the first couple of years I was in it, we had some non recovered bodies.
Oh,
And yeah, it's hard enough when you're looking for people, but you find them because you've got the friends and the family with you, around listening to all the searchers go in and out and the radios going off. And we had three non-recovered bodies this one year. And the first non-recovered body, I saw this man sitting there whose son was lost and he's still not recovered. And he was so lost and the pain was horrible. And I realized there was nobody there to kind of be an advocate for him. So from that experience, I created a team. It's called CISM, Critical Incident Stress Team. And I was sent from search and rescue to get a lot of training. I learned through my training how the body and the brain work together, how your health, your mind, your energy, everything is all interconnected. And when I lost my son, it was interesting that that training actually helped me from the intellectual standpoint of knowing how it all fit together. But some of the people whose children were not recovered that I had built a relationship with in search and rescue to this day are my friends. Kind of a hard way to build a friendship, but our friends. And I saw some paths that they were on that just one of them is still really trying to figure it out. And um, I know for my son, I can't say that, you know, why you can't go back and start doing the would have, could have, should have. All you can do is be present to what is. So I did some reading. I did yoga. I had people direct me in different ways. I tried to exercise a lot. For the first few years, I was basically numb um, with eating and just kind of existing. You do the next thing you can do. You vacuum your house. You bake for. You do whatever you can to just kind of get by. And then through some reading and through actually my daughter's a healer. My daughter's an acupuncturist. Lives in Hawaii, a place I'd like to be about now, nice and warm. And she was very much into meditation. And she turned me on to something that some of your listeners might be interested in. It's called Insight Timer. And you can get it for free, a lot of different types of meditations. And so I started listening to meditations. And from that, I kind of started realizing to me, because I always thought meditation, so people are, you have to have a mantra, you have to do, um, do affirmations, you have to do that. And I realized that actually it's really kind of simple. To me, there's four different types of meditations, and one is one you can do really quickly. And I've been doing it today. I was telling you earlier that the starter in my car went out. So we've been arranging for AAA to come tow it and all these things. And it's like, okay, right now I'm letting life take me away. And you talk about it a lot. The word that ever since I first met you and the word ease came up, that's a word that I had never really necessarily related to. Um, but it's kind of, to me, it's like relaxing into things, to ease things. And I found with meditation, um, the first one, the quick way, is just be aware of your breathing. Like as we're talking, just in order like to come in on and talk to you, it's like just take a breath, be present, be here. And when things are happening, if you can realize that life is sucking you in, and you can step back and say, wait a minute, I have some, I may not have control over like my car dying, my cell phone not working, but I do have some control over how I'm going to react and where I go with this. So the quick meditation, is kind of, people think there has to be a long meditation, and it doesn't have to be. It can just be getting in touch with your breathing and an intention. Um, to me, the next meditation,
You can just do it anywhere, anytime.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you don't have to have a special room. You don't have to have a special cushion.
No, and that's a really good point because it's like when I started yoga, it's like, okay, I have to be able to sit like this and have this room and all that. I practice yoga now, but I can just sit on the floor and get, get in touch with it. It's a centering. It's all about centering, going back to your core. It's bringing things together instead of, in this world, everything is outside, instant
Yeah.
gratification and stimulus, and we go with that. And yet we have the ability to just go, wait a minute, and stop and allow something else to come in. So yeah, just breathe. And then if you go a little bit further, if you were, if you wanted to listen to like, again, there's other different meditation sites for free, but like Insight Timer, they have things for like happiness or gratitude, or it's like, oh my gosh, today I'm really anxious. I'm going to go talk to Laura, and it makes me nervous. so I can listen to an anxious one and just kind of get, again, it takes me back to breathing. It presents me with an option to getting lost in my thoughts that are all going to go negative and, who are you and all these things. So targeted meditation is really good. And then if you can go a step further, sometimes it's almost like dreaming. It can almost be like daydreaming. And you can do this even when you're walking. Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Zen Buddhist, has talked about um, walking meditations. And I do that a lot. In fact, before I came on, because I'm a little anxious and nervous, I took my dog out just to walk. And we have snow outside and it's sunny. And I just started breathing. And I just allow that I'm enough. I am enough. And to just be on here and sharing um, is all right. It's, and you can, if you take the time to go to that third level of meditation, the longer you do, your thoughts are going to come in. Oh, the first time I tried to meditate and my thoughts were coming in, it's like the first time I was trying to do yoga, I was like, I can't do this because all these thoughts were coming in. It's like, oh, you need to go feed your dog. You need to take your dog for a while. And you haven't done that. And it's learning that it's okay that these thoughts come in. You don't have to attach to them. Allow them to come in. And I'm sure you do. I mean, with what you do. I mean, feel free to dialogue with me. You do this
Well, I
too.
do. When I have thoughts that come in that won't chill out,
Yeah,
I say, oh, where's some ease?
there you go.
And I come back to the ease, and the ease is just, oh well, it's an interruption,
Yeah,
and then the thoughts can do themselves,
yeah,
but I don't have to do the thoughts,
yeah.
and I don't have to do anything about them.
That's it. And a lot of the meditations I do, because from these longer meditations of really getting new impressions and kind of delving into what your truth is and what you need, and it can be, and I work with people to get to that process. But from that, just totally out of the blue, I started doing personalized meditations, which was even a step further. Um, my best friend's son, who was 27 at the time, was one of the best professional bike racers in the world. He was a cyclist for Team Sky, which was from England, and he did Tour de France and all of these big tours that people knew. And his whole life was built up to this. And about a year and a half ago, he was in a major race, came around a corner, and the wind whipped him off of his bike and on his head,
Mm.
smashed him on the ground. And after that, the doctors were like, you could keep racing, but it's not good for you. It's not good for your health. It's not good for you. And all of a sudden, I realized this is someone I had watched as a little boy grow into this just amazing cyclist. That was his whole life. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, what am I going to do? This is what I've been doing. And I got really quiet in myself and tried to connect with him and what he might be going through as a 27-year-old, even though I'm not 27, but I was. But where's he going with all of a sudden having lost everything that he's worked toward? And I made my first official meditation. And it was amazing because he said to me, and my daughter started a website for me because she said, Mom, you're too nervous about the tech world and you don't want to get out there, but you need to get out there. So she's created a website for me, and there's a testimonial from him. And he said, when I saw him about 6 months later, that people were trying to talk to him. Ian, you'll be okay. Do this, do this, do that. And he said, it took the meditation, listening to that very quietly in his own time to get in touch with who he was and what he still had in him. It's like he was one of the best mountain climbers. And these aren't little mountains, these are the Alps. These are amazing. He pulled a gentleman named Chris Froome, who a lot of people might know. They know the cycling world, or the best in the world. He pulled him up the mountain. And when I did the meditation, I basically said, you still have everything inside of you. It's just a different mountain that you're going to be climbing. And so I did. So I did that, um, and from that, other people have come to me. I had some friends who had a child, and when their baby was born, he had a lot of medical issues, and they spent several months at the Ronald McDonald House and seeing if he was going to survive. And they lived in Oregon, and they needed to fly back to Boston to get to the pediatric hospital to have this surgery done, but because of COVID, they couldn't.
Mm.
And I can't even begin to imagine the stress they were under. So my daughter said, maybe make a personalized meditation for them. So I made a personalized meditation to their little boy. His name is Baby Joey. They called him Joey, Baby Joey, because his dad's name is Joey. And I made the meditation to them to play in the ICU for him to hear a very soft voice talking about love. And even though he's a baby, I think there's something that goes through. And I also made the tape for them to help them realize that, they created this amazing person, being out of love, and to keep them going forward and being positive. And apparently that really helped. And he was able, a couple months later, to fly back to Boston and get the care he needs, and now he's back home. So I've really gone into personalized meditation.
So that's that for it sounds like that is when somebody has a need that you create an intuitive connection
Yeah,
with them, probably from your own meditative space.
right.
The thing also that I have discovered in my own meditation is that well, there are different voices in my head.
Yeah, thoughts, voices, people,
Yeah, and
personalities.
there's the voices that are the chatter from the outside world, and then there is the intuitive voice that comes from your heart or from divine inspiration or wherever that comes from, that gives you the information or message for your next step.
Yeah,
And a lot of times I keep a journal nearby when I'm meditating so
yeah,
that if something, if there's a lot of chat, a lot of times just breathing quietly, I can, it's, what is it like? It's like taking out the garbage.
yeah, yeah,
Just a
true.
bunch of thoughts that spin around that aren't productive, that aren't useful, that aren't taking me anywhere, but just
Right.
using up energy. So those can kind of get pushed to the wayside. Then there's room for this kind of inspirational thought that I really like. And that's when I sometimes want to be able to take a note afterward.
Yeah. And that's huge. Journaling is huge, and just allowing it's creating a space in your life to just stop and allow that it's okay to stop. It's like I've talked to some, kids in their 20s and 30s, and the idea of stopping isn't something that a lot of them have really ever thought about doing. And they're afraid if they stop, they're going to get behind, that they're going to miss something. And it's allowing the wisdom of maybe some of us that are a little older that the world's still going to be there. And maybe if you can take the time to connect with who you are, then rather just being pulled along by life, you can have an intention for where you want to go. And if when you start, and again, particularly right now, is such a strange time because we don't know when it might end, or when can we do a holiday with relatives, and just all that sort of stuff, and not just be on Zoom meetings all the time. Um, But if you can, now is really a time, and again, thank you for what you're doing, all the different people you're bringing on to offer things in case something does resonate with somebody. Because in order to really go through this and move forward and be successful, I think, and not go down under whatever, be it even the election or whatever, is to pull within yourself and know that you are enough, and find out who you are and what you need and what your next step is, and connect with your potential and all that you have to offer, and be light. It doesn't have to be all dark and dreary. It can. I have something. If I can I read this? I thought this was funny.
Sure.
This is for meditation. The 10 things to do in Zen. Let go of comparing. Let go of judgment. Let go of anger. Let go of worrying. Let go of regrets. Let go of blame. Let go of guilt. Let go of fear. And have a rather jolly belly laugh at least once a day if it's about your inability to let go of any of this.
That is so great.
And to me, that kind of puts it in perspective, because it's like, again, before I started doing yoga, it's like, oh, I would go to a yoga retreat in Hawaii with my daughter for 4 days. My daughter does yoga all the time. She can sit in these positions that look like a pretzel, and she's very graceful, and I learned right away that it's not um, how much can I look like her? No, I will never look like that. I don't really have the desire to, but it's being present to what I can do and getting what I can out of it, which is what I need to get out of it. Not for somebody else looking at me like there's this one position, I forget what it's called, and I cannot do it. And I put judgment on myself when I was first in a class. And now I go to class and I'm sitting next to my daughter, who's inside out, upside down, looking wonderfully graceful and at ease. And I'm like not even a tenth of, less than that of, but I'm doing what I can do. And that's okay. And from that, I learn a lot. It's the same thing with meditation. It's just, start out just breathing, realizing that, okay, my starter didn't work today. This is going to be really frustrating. I need to do this, this, and this. Although I luckily have a husband who's great at helping, but it's just like, okay, this will be taken care. It will get taken care of. But it's not going to help if I get frustrated and beat myself up about it. Just take a step back. And so for me, meditation, like you said, and what you do, it can be very just taking a step back and stopping, and then working your way up if you want to the point. You can listen to free meditations, and I mean I work with people because a lot of it is it's your mindset and what you're going through, and giving yourself permission to do that. So, working with people to allow that it's okay to take care of themselves. That's just something we don't do very well. It's okay to take care of yourself and find your peace and your ease.
Well, in meditation, it's just a quieting of the mind. And
Yeah.
there's all kinds of styles of meditation. But I was thinking, even just when you read that little quote a minute ago, is if you would inhale and exhale
Hmm.
on each of those sentences. I mean, I did feel like laughing at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a fine way to start a meditation.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that happens is there's, like you said before, you studied the connection between the mind and the body, and when we practice calming the body down, it remembers that path to calmness
Right.
faster the next time. It's the same thing as if you have a coffee break with a cookie or sweet roll every morning, like 2 or 3 mornings in a row. The
Right.
fourth morning, your body's going, where's my coffee? Where's my sweet roll?
Yeah.
And if you give your body also this meditation, then it's like, where's my calm? Where's my, where's my space? And then I think gradually, well, I think a lot of people kind of are not breathing deeply, which is one of the reasons I think breathing meditation is so good. And I think breathing meditation is excellent when people are wearing masks because it can be a restorative thing after a period of time in the mask. And how much better for you is it to take off your mask and do 2 minutes of good deep breathing, cleaning out your lungs, than to just get home, throw the mask off and say, I hate that dadgum thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's not right or wrong. It's what happens to your body. How does your body respond? What makes your body feel happier and healthier? And sometimes we think that that anxious, angry energy is enlivened.
Yeah.
I'm alive. I'm still mad at blah 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 blah. But really, is that alive, or am I ignoring something by focusing all my energy there? And until I quieted down enough inside myself, I couldn't even ask that question,
Yeah.
you know. And then, and the self-healing part is it doesn't do any good for somebody to tell you you need to meditate. You know, you say, Laura, you need to meditate. And I'm like, well, crap on you, dude.
Yeah, really. Okay, fine.
If the shoe fits, wear it, buddy.
Yeah. If you're telling me because it's what you need to do,
Yeah, but
but you're putting it on me.
I might need to meditate. It might be really good for me, but it's like anything else. If somebody makes you do it, that's not doing it.
No.
And if I, you can be meditating while you're washing the dishes. You know,
Oh, definitely, definitely.
quiet your mind, and then of course then I might be washing the same pan for a long time, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
The quality of my time was what was important, not how fast I got the dishes done.
And it's changing sometimes when you're doing the dishes, rather than just doing it is being mindful of doing them. And it's like somebody said to me one time, just lovingly wash the dishes. You're washing them for yourself, so they'll be clean and you'll be healthy. You're washing them for your husband, and it's like, oh, that's an interesting concept. And it was just, I started, and it's not that I do it all the time, because every time I'm just getting those stupid dishes in the dishwasher again. And with this COVID, I've never really sat down with my husband eating 3 meals a day. And it's like, 3 meals a day, I'm going to end up being a chunk in no time, And we've also done more dishes than I've ever done, before. So I'm not always lovingly doing the dishes, but it's being more mindful of, yeah, which I hadn't really thought about from the standpoint of the mask that you're saying. I did find the other day, it was kind of nice to have the mask on because it was really cold here. And breathing cold air isn't necessarily good for you. And I had the mask on, and it was like, wow, I'm warmer and calmer. Um, and that was a really interesting kind of side to the mask, different
I have
perspective.
one. I kind of have to hold my breath if I'm going down the grocery aisle with has all the soap in it.
Oh, I can, ooh, I'm
But if
not
I
good
have
with
a mask
smells.
on, not so bad.
I hadn't thought about that. I cannot do smells. I can't walk into a Bed Bath shop that
Right.
has all these soaps and candles. My body can't do it. My sinuses, everything just chokes up. I might try that.
No, my husband and I, he's really like that. And so one day we have a couple things, and so like we dash in and get that one thing and leave. How fast? But the other day when we were getting back in the car and we were taking off our mask, and he's going, "Hey, it wasn't so bad in there." I said, "I think it was the mask." So we were laughing.
Well, I always learn new things when I talk to people. And this is wonderful talking to you because it's a different perspective. And, instead of everybody being so dark and dreary and,
I
it's fun.
wonder, I think that quote that you did was really beautiful. If you this will post, the video has to finish and then it will go live. If you could put that in the comments, because I thought it was just really lovely.
Oh, sure.
And this this idea, it's almost like, instead of thinking of meditation as something else, it's like everyday meditation,
Yeah.
every moment meditation.
Yeah. And
And
it's just, oh, I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, actually, there was another, let me see if I have it here. There's another quote that I really like. It's by Thich Nhat Hanh. I love Thich Nhat Hanh. He's pretty amazing in what he does. But this is something I remind myself of a lot. It says, breathing in, my whole body is harmonized with the breath. Breathing out, my whole body is calmed with the out breath. And
Yeah.
I just harmonized. I hadn't really thought about that, but I love that word. So it is. Sometimes it is. It's just calming yourself and just, you don't, oh, I'm going to meditate right now. It's just like, I'm going to, and I'm a shallow breather. That's something I learned in yoga. And breathing deeply, because I do some of these really long meditations. And eventually, it's kind of like when I started running years ago. And, the first day was horrible, and then I couldn't breathe. And the next thing I knew, I was doing 6 miles, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is easy. But that also has to do with your breath too. All of this, it has to do with your breath is your life,
Yep.
and it's realizing your breath. My daughter, being an acupuncturist, and with all that she does, and it continues to teach me, it's going back to the when I got really really sick. It started with my gut. It started with my gut, went to my stomach, went to my lungs, went to my esophagus, came out my eyes. And it's like everything was shutting down. And my daughter, the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. And she said, well, that's your core. Your core is being affected. And I really think part of that was I hadn't really allowed myself to process the loss of my child. He died in 2012, and I got really, really sick in 2017. And I think, you just kind of go on doing what you do. And I can't bring him back. And, I give thanks he was in my life. Oh my gosh, the lessons that I learned from him and continue to learn. He was one of the most loving um, beings around. And he actually had 3 different memorials for him, one in Bend, Oregon, where I live, and one in Salt Lake City at a ski resort where he had skied, and one in Sun Valley because there were just so many people wanted to celebrate his life. And this is a guy who was 34 years old. And guys his age got up and they said, Matt taught me to love. He taught me it was okay to hug when I saw him. And that's a lot for a male and males that young. And so I continued to learn from him. But I think, the first probably 5 years, I was pretty one foot in front of the other. Luckily, I was surrounded by amazing people. And I have an amazing husband that he was there to not tell me what to do or how to do it, but to allow me to go through my process. And he kind of knew what I needed. I'm sorry.
And I think that this is also part of healing, is that everybody's healing is individual.
Right, right.
And the process is there are milestones along the way. But
Right.
whether it takes you 1 year to hit the first milestone or 5 years to hit the first milestone,
Right.
whether you thought you went through 10 milestones and then you have this
Yeah.
illness that stops you in your tracks, and and your daughter is saying, well, I think there's something that's not addressed in there,
Mhm.
and then you go back. And so so I also so I think that meditation is good because meditation repeats, but it repeats never the
Yeah.
same.
Right.
If you do a breathing meditation one day and you do it the next day, you could even do the same number of breaths for the same amount of time, but your thoughts
Right.
aren't going to be the same.
True.
Your body's already not the same.
Right.
So so I think part of that teaches us the same thing, is that healing happens, but it doesn't happen in a scripted way. It doesn't happen in a
Yeah.
predictable way. And it's a journey and an unfolding, and out of it, even when it's difficult, come some amazing things. Often can't see them till you're a few miles down the road.
True. True.
And and you wouldn't wish that journey on anybody
Right.
that you went through. But the truth is, we don't know always what our spirit needs to heal.
Right. True.
And I think meditation for me also allows me to, I want to say, tolerate the mystery a little bit more.
That's a good point. Tolerate. That's a great word because it's not like there's an answer sometimes. I don't have an answer why my son died. Um, what the lesson is or any of that. I mean, it is what it is. And yeah, that's a really good point you said too about the meditating. Really, when I first did yoga and we were doing a meditation yoga, and all these thoughts kept coming into my head, I'm like, and they kept doing it over and over again. It's like, I'm not going to get this. I want to get it. I want to be spiritual and I want to go on and learn and stuff. But then, it's like, luckily I've had amazing teachers. They said, it's okay if thoughts are bombarding you because you're still. How often are you still? And the minute you're still, you're going to start bombarding you. It's like, oh, now wait a minute. Did you leave the oven on when you fixed the soup? You think you want to sit here and meditate, but maybe your kitchen's burning down. And pretty soon you allow that these are going to, and of course, most of the thoughts, at least I find that come up, they're not these beautiful, flower covered, wonderful thoughts. They're more negative of what you didn't do, could have, should have, would have, all those horrible words that don't make any sense and don't take you anywhere except down. And then the more you do it, like you say, the more you learn, okay, it's a thought. I don't have to attach to it. It's like trying to bombard me to take me off course, and I can just let it go through.
Just it like floats by like leaves on a river.
Yeah, you know,
And then from a place of being centered, we can choose our next action
yeah,
instead of running from the thoughts, or having the thoughts, get you to jump off your yoga mat and run home and check if you left the stove on or not.
right,
All of these things, all of these things can happen, but we can just let them happen.
yeah.
And then take ourselves from our new centered place, and keep going one step at a time.
One of the things I now have people actually asking me to do some personalized meditations for them, and one of the phrases I ask them, okay, what are things you love? What brings you pleasure? And then on the flip side, what kind of brings you pain? What would you like to work on? Excuse me. And the one thing, the one phrase that, well, a couple of phrases. One is that, um, first one is just let it be. So in the meditation, several times normally within there's like, breathe, realize there's no place you need to go, nothing you have to rush off to. Just let it be. And another one that a lot of people have a lot of trouble with, something I've had trouble with too, is besides let it be, which I have trouble with, um, is I am enough. I am enough. Where I am is where I need to be. I'm learning, as long as, I'm learning about meditation all the time. Different ways that, you can do mantras, you can do affirmations. I'm now learning that there's certain hand positions that when you do in meditations will help you center more quickly. And so I'm learning that. And one of those, some of them are just amazing because when you do them, all of a sudden your whole body just goes toward its core. And I'm learning that. As long as I'm learning and working on it, I'm not a finished piece of art. I'm working on it. I'll always be working on it.
Right.
Happy to be working on it with you.
Well, and it's fun because it's like a never ending onion of layers to be peeled off.
Yeah.
And I think that it's hard to explain when you haven't felt it, but that joy that comes from being grounded in yourself and calm. I mean, it's not like fireworks kind of happiness, you know,
No.
but it's like a little bubbling, just a little simmering pot of joy on the on a
It's joy, and it's something I think a lot of us don't find and feel a lot is peace. I mean, really, and all these things I read, our life is to be full of joy and to have peace,
yeah.
but we don't allow it.
Yeah. And I think the meditation is teaching ourselves to allow it. I think that's a really nice way to frame it.
And giving ourselves permission to create a space to allow the peace and joy, which we should have. We
Yeah.
deserve it.
It's everybody's birthright.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Molly. I think this has been really lovely, and people will have your website in the description, and so they can get in touch with you, learn more about the meditations you do, and this video. I'll make sure you have a link so you can share it with anybody you want.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I've had some friends of mine who wanted me to share it. As far as the website, my daughter created it, did a wonderful job. It's still a work in progress because I haven't added a lot to it with a lot of things that I do offer because I have tech phobia, and that's what I'm trying to upskill myself in this world is like, and
You
I've
can
watched you.
say, how easily can I do ABC?
Yeah, I'm learning to do it instead of, oh my gosh, I'm scared of it. It's like, you know what, this could be fun because I have a lot I'd like to share. And if I can
Yeah,
help someone, I'd like to be there. So this is a new skill for me, not having been raised in the computer generation, to do
that's
it.
perfect. And so I would just say, before you go to the computer, do your meditation so that you come from that inspired place and then see what happens in the world of ease. I wonder what will happen to the ease in me when I play with the computer.
Ah, I
So
know.
take care, Molly.
Thank you.